So I found an interesting question asking about warming up for a competition, but there's no mats at the venue. So here's a little bit about the question. So with no warm-up mats at the facility, there's really no way to drill ground technique. So how do you optimally warm up before you compete? This is a great question, so let's get into it. So I discussed in a previous video 4 basic elements of a warm-up, and you can see that right here. For most of us, the first round of like rolling in class is like a warm-up round. We're kind of trying to get our mind and body kind of into the mix, into the flow, and just kind of going fairly slow. Especially as I've gotten older, I utilize the first round of rolling as more of a warm-up round and kind of gradually ramp up my pace and ramp up my intensity of the roll. So the first thing I'll do, I'll try to find like a carpeted area if I can. If there isn't one, it's like tile or a hard, very hard surface, I'll actually keep a yoga mat with me and I'll just do some basic movements in a yoga mat. I can use a yoga mat to kind of roll back the shoulders, come up into combat base, do some basic movements, some mobility work that I like to do as a warm up in training before class. So there's like a specific 5, 6, 7 minute warm up that I just like to do, just kind of move in and out of different positions and try to get my body prepped and ready to go. So I think in your mind, have a basic warm up that you like to utilize that you feel gets you ready for training. So go through some of those movements, some shorter hold times for the stretches, whatever that may be, and then get that aspect done first. The next thing I'll do is I'll find a hallway or like an area where I can kind of do a little bit of running, and I'll just start some basic kind of comfortable running. So I'll just kind of run. I'll do that very lightly at first just to get my heart rate up a little bit, get my body a little bit warm. Then I'll actually incorporate a few sprints into the mix. So I'll do a brief sprint, like maybe 5 to 10 seconds if I have the space, and I'll slow down. So I want my heart rate to come up, and then I want it to kind of come down. I want to get my heart kind of used to getting that elevated heart rate and then back down to a normal kind of comfortable resting heart rate. So I want to do that a few times. And the reason why is I don't want my heart rate to spike the first time I'm on the mats. I almost want to try to elicit that kind of that adrenaline dump. I mean, I'm already going to be kind of nervous and kind of tensed up. So I want to try to exert some of that energy and have that little adrenaline dump before I get on the mats. I don't want that to happen first thing when I'm on the mats with my opponent kind of clinching and going into the match. So I'll start to incorporate some sprint work into it, just get my heart rate up, get my heart rate back down, get my breathing under control, just get my body used to that elevation of that intensity and then back down. Once I do that, if I've got a training partner with me, I want to kind of work some entries, I'll start with that. So that may be pummeling, that may be grip fighting, just grabbing and just kind of grabbing and releasing, breaking grips, just getting used to that movement. And if there's some entries that I do where, I go for a takedown where my knee does not bang into the ground, I'll work some of those things. But again, a lot of times I'll work into the entry, just my grip fighting, setting up my hands and grips. You can do some of those things. There's even some ways you can do, wrestlers call it stance in motion. So I'll kind of even move around and pretend like I'm kind of taking a shot and being light on my toes and moving around that way, just to get my body used to kind of moving at different angles and just kind of pushing off the toes, coming back, just kind of moving around, getting my body moving so it's not so stiff. And then the other thing is just stay loose. One thing I don't do is I try to kind of figure out when my match is going to be going on, and I kind of step away from the venue or kind of like go out in the hallway where I don't feel all that intensity all the time. I don't want to be at that heightened state for the whole time before my match. I don't want to wear myself out. So I'll kind of see, where I'm at, try to figure out what time it is, give myself, a little time at the venue, kind of where the mat space is, and I'll step away. I'll stay loose, listen to some music, whatever you like to do. Everybody's got their own thing. Some people like a more chill music before the match, and then as their match is starting to, come on, they like to, get a little more intense music. For me, music-wise, a little bonus, I think before I go out to my match, I either have Tool or I'll have Rage Against the Machine. Those are my go-tos. So those are a couple, just a fun tip for me. That's kind of what I'm usually listening to right before the match. And then if it's kind of outside the match, more of a chill music, sometimes even some Tool that's kind of more of a rhythmic type song, which some of their stuff is super rhythmic, kind of goes on like with some drum tangents and guitar tangents or whatever, but off topic there. But anyway, so that's kind of what I'll do. I kind of go through that sequence. Find your own sequence, get prepared for that. Make sure that you're at the venue, you're familiar with it, you kind of scope it out, see where the mats are, get an idea where you're gonna be competing, and find some spots where you can kind of be by yourself and do your warm up. Have a couple training partners there with you, coaches, where you can kind of work your grip fighting, your entries, things like that. So hopefully those are some helpful tips for you guys if you're getting ready for a tournament and the venue is not ideal for your warm up. That way you can get yourself ready to go, ready for your best performance on the mats, and I'll talk to you guys next time.